It couldn't be more obvious at this point in time in 2024 that Disney is showing no sign of really taking a step back from their DEI agenda, everything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, with the exception of maybe Deadpool and Wolverine, given that Ryan Reynolds and crew are taking a stand against them, and they know that they need this one movie for 2024 to work since it's such a barren year for Disney. But focusing here on the latest series/season of Doctor Who on Disney Plus, this is yet another example of how when you have Disney partnering up with BBC, you can only expect things to get worse with the 15th Doctor, and well, things just really truly hit rock bottom. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So you guys may recall the David Tennant special in 2023 for Doctor Who. That also had a lot of criticism that came along with it. And now, with the newest series/season featuring Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor, there's a lot of drama happening with this iteration of Doctor Who, and especially how BBC and Disney work things out to really further the agenda in a more severe way for future seasons as well. Let's get into all of this. Now, we already know that Bob Iger is beginning to get very frustrated with the ongoing backlash related to Doctor Who and everything that's going on with actor Ncuti Gatwa, the cast attacking the fan base that has a lot of problems with everything related to BBC's agenda, which, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, BBC is a whole lot worse than Disney, and you can only make it even more severe when you combine the two. That's exactly why this series is shot and showing no sign of improvement for the years to come. Now, focusing on Bob Iger, this is what he had to deliver in a form of damage control. Now, with both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm now considered the two most failed divisions at the Walt Disney Company, one major development also involves Disney's ways of handling the current backlash related to Doctor Who on Disney Plus. Now, Bob Iger recently delivered the following. As CEO, I am more than proud to announce our support moving forward for many communities in the Doctor Who series that we are proud to distribute on Disney Plus that will further support the LGBTQI community. I would also like to inform our shareholders and customers alike that though we have noticed a level of negative criticism, we have come to the conclusion via our analysts that this type of criticism should not be taken too seriously, since we are dealing with a minority of our core customer base that remains opposed to the support of the many communities that we are happy to represent in a series like Doctor Who, which of course stars legendary actor Ncuti Gatwa, that holds so much potential to enhance our support for LGBTQI as part of Disney. What we do not stand for, and also what we do not tolerate, are those that convince others that this is coming from some sort of an agenda or a culture war via Disney. That, of course, is something that we have never engaged in, nor something that we will ever engage in, period. I can't stress this enough, that our plan and push to support these communities in a massive series like Doctor Who has nothing to do with any sort of an agenda. For those that are led to believe that our full support for diversity, equity, and inclusion is agenda-driven, we ask everyone to research what this truly means for the film industry, and, of course, television, and just how important it is to us, especially here at the Walt Disney Company. We hope to explore other characters in our partnership with the BBC to reach a wider and more global audience that will cater to new characters, much like the 15th Doctor. And we are doing our best to ignore any level of minor criticism that comes along with our aim for these series. As CEO, I find it very irresponsible and offensive how some of those attached to our core customer base are saying offensive things to the many communities that we support and represent, and this should not be tolerated. We can only hope to normalize the inclusion of the many communities that we hope to enhance in our many projects connected to Doctor Who and beyond with other brands like Marvel and Star Wars, for example. This is a very important issue that the Walt Disney Company is planning to normalize on our end, to the point where a larger margin of customers will accept what we have coming into fruition within the next few years with our partnership related to the BBC. Now, to those customers that hold an issue with our support for these communities, these are the types of beliefs that Disney cannot and will never tolerate. We ask for our product to speak for itself and the BBC's, to allow the BBC's vision to come to life, using our Disney Plus platform to reach an audience that would have never been obtained beforehand without our support. Now guys, let me say one thing about Bob Iger before I move on, is that he is obviously running into desperate damage control. Now, he has already made it clear that he plans to step down at some point in time in 2026. He obviously wants to make this a good 2 years for himself, and it's not helping. The fact that you are saying that there's no agenda here, but at the same exact time you are saying it's all about representing this community and that community when not focusing on entertainment or a story, that's when you have a real problem, and that's when you really fall into a downward spiral without a doubt. That's exactly when Disney, begins to realize that there's no escape at this point. The walls are truly closing in, just like the dumpster in Star Wars A New Hope. There is no way out unless you have some kind of Hail Mary situation, which is not going to happen at this point in time. Now, what's interesting about this, further, is on top of that, he goes on to conclude, again, I must address this again. What we here at Disney and the BBC have incorporated in the latest season/series for Doctor Who has nothing to do with any sort of an agenda or message that we are trying to serve to our customer base, and the misconception should be explained between our loyal audience members carefully. So again, Bob Iger is really getting quite frustrated, you could tell, saying things like this is offensive, this should not be tolerated, or that this is very irresponsible, and those that are throwing out those opinions should remain to themselves. Now, look, we know that Bob Iger really is either clueless or this is all deliberate, doesn't matter, it's probably a combination of both. He really just does not care at the end of the day about what happens with Doctor Who. We have seen the ratings disaster take place over the past couple of days, and it's only going to get worse, by the way, as we go into June, as more and more people tune into this tragedy that is Doctor Who, featuring Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor, and how the cast is endlessly attacking the Doctor Who fans that have been loyal for so very long of this series, up until I would say the David Tennant special, where things really began to crumble big time. Doctor Who is a very big deal to everyone throughout the decades, and I think that this really is, and could very well be, the final nail in the coffin for the series. Does that necessarily mean that Disney and the BBC are not going to move forward with another season? I highly doubt it, because obviously Bob Iger's addressing that they plan to keep on pumping this garbage out regardless. Now look, at the end of the day, we know that Bob Iger really just does not care about the shareholders. He will lie to them endlessly just to kind of keep them on a string, to string them along into the following year. And that's why I think Nelson Peltz is going to come back in 2025, because he said if there's no changeover at Disney, you can expect my return, in an attempt to get a board seat over there, which I think would be legendary if he does. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.